Hi there. How are you doing today? It's so good to see you. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic and a medium. I'm a spirit navigator. And today we're going to be talking about how spirit communicates to you with symbols and signs because, well, spirit is not going to be wasting their time. They've got to get a message through to you, and they really want to do it in the most efficient way possible. And they often show me how hard it is to communicate to humans, right? Because as a human, well, your number one job is to do your human job. You came here, you incarnated, you chose your destiny, your soul contract, your soul family. You chose all those things. On top of that, well, humans have to pay the bills and we have to interact and do the things that humans do. So that is all like a whole bunch of, you might see a maze, and spirit guides are trying to give you a message, and their message has to go through the maze, sometimes hitting a dead end, sometimes going, way out of their way to get to you. So if that is the case, they oftentimes can't send you an entire sentence. Sometimes they just need to send you something that is quick and slips through your consciousness, your busy mind. Again, we're all thinking about so many things. And when you're overthinking or over worrying, it's very hard for them to get a message through to you. That's why we often say, get a hobby. If you're exercising, if you're walking the dog, if you're doing creative work, or you're meditating, it's a lot easier for spirit to slip that aha moment into your brain, which is actually guidance. You all, it's not you. I know y'all think you're pretty smart and all. Some of you probably are, but you're probably not as smart as you think you are. Some of this has been actually been guidance that's been popped into your brain, into your thoughts. Sounds like your thoughts, feels like your feelings. It's actually guidance. And you know what? More often than not, they're happy for it to be like that, because once humans start asking questions, well, then we're not doing the thing. We're not following the guidance. If we're busy saying, wait, why did I open this email about taking another job? Why did I click this link about taking this class? If you become aware in the middle of the guidance, then it's much harder for them to get you to do the thing they're trying to guide you to do. So today we're going to be talking about symbols and maybe even creating your own symbol encyclopedia. If you're new here, this is part of a series that I do every Wednesday called Wow, or Wisdom on Wednesday. I have over 110 videos right in this little playlist, which you can watch for free and learn about so many things. So if you want to have your own, master's degree in intuition, psychology, psychic abilities, anything having to do with metaphysical, check it out. It's right there for you. The link will be at the end of this video, but it will also be in the description. Just hit more, you'll see that. But you can always go to my main YouTube channel, which is click the logo. It'll take you to my main YouTube channel, go to playlist, go to Wow, and you're there. Okay. Also, I have two more things to just let you know about. One is a class that I have coming up March 1st, Reawaken Your Soul's Destiny, $37. I promise you it'll be the best $37 you've ever spent. I'm co-teaching it with Afefe Tahimba, who is Touched by Tarot here on YouTube. We've done many classes together. Our classes are very well attended. Right now, we have several hundred people already signed up. And that's because people find value in what we offer. So if you're available this Saturday at 1 p.m. Central, $37, you can check out my website, SusanLynnMedium.com, SusanLynnMedium.com. If you're not available this Saturday, buy the class, you'll get the recording link. As of right this minute, I am not selling these classes as a standalone later that you can buy later. So if you're interested in it, go ahead and buy the class. And 24 hours after the class, you'll give us your email. We'll send you a link and you can watch it, the class. Okay. So either way, it's a win-win. Second thing is I have an online community with over 1,000 people in it. Yeah, it's amazing. And that's my soul path. That's my soul destiny. It took me a few years to figure out what spirit was trying to tell me. Not going to lie. Again, this is why I'm trying to help you, because I know how hard it is believe it or not, as connected as I am to my spirit guides, it's still not easy because we're human and we're here to do the human thing, right? So, online community, over 1,000 people, has a political side, has a spiritual side. Also, I'm there 5 to 6 hours a month giving readings, teaching. Right now, I have guest speakers giving guest speaker classes. There's a lot going on there. That whole community is only $12 a month. You can sign up monthly, check it out, cancel anytime. Okay, now let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. And let me tell you something really important, and that is, and I think the best way to explain it to you is to give you an actual situation that happened to me yesterday, which is often how I teach, right? I learn it, then I teach it to you. So I was talking to a friend who is also a medium. And, when people like us to get together, we talk about that kind of stuff, right? I would assume people that like sports talk about sports. I don't know. So she was telling me about a situation that she got a download about, and she was wondering how she could figure out the timing. Now, if you're new to this, timing is so hard to do because they don't have a clock. They don't care about clocks, and their timing is completely different than ours. I mean, like 6 months here could be 30 minutes there. So it is very difficult. So what I did was I said, what I found helpful is, and this, you may also find this helpful, is to think about, as I'm thinking about the outcome. Let's say that I got an impression, a thought, a feeling, a knowing, or I saw, which is all intuition and psychic abilities, something happening, somebody getting a job, whatever. And I thought, when is that going to happen, right? And then I get crickets back, like, like they're like, we can't do the math. Y'all's time is crazy, and we can't translate it into our time. Plus, there's this thing called free will, so it's too complicated for us to tell you. That may be true, right? Like they might be like, we can't give you a real idea of the timing. Okay. On the other hand, another way to maybe try to figure out the timing is to see or know or feel what this person is wearing. Are they wearing shorts? Are they wearing a coat? Does it feel like snow might be outside? Does it feel like it might be really like a celebration, like a holiday, like Halloween or Thanksgiving, or some holiday that you would recognize in your culture? Oh, yeah, it's around this holiday. Oh, okay. So it's going to happen at this time of year. So those are some things that I use. Like, what is the person wearing? What holiday might be they thinking about? But you could also think about, what flowers am I seeing? Flowers? Am I seeing bare trees? And what was really interesting was she said to me, "Oh, I know. I'll look at where the sun is." And I was like, "What?" So for her, and she's very visual, so she said, "I'll look, or I'll feel." You can get this, you can look with your brain. You don't have to. People say, "Well, I never see anything." Your brain can also look. Your brain can also smell. It just actually computes that information differently. Believe me, it can happen. So she said, "I'll just see where the sun is." And I was like, "You know where the sun is in different seasons?" And she said, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yeah, it's going to be the springtime." So my point to you is that don't try to make yourself into me or anybody else, because you're not. I'm not you, you're not me. We're all individuals. And for my friend, she took the suggestions I had and then she figured out one that worked for her. So that's really important for you. As we go forward, I want you to own your own symbols, own your own signs. Don't necessarily take on everybody else's sign, because it might not work for you. And I think the faster you get to the place where you say, I have to do me and I might be different from other people, the faster you'll get to receiving the signs and messages much faster and much easier. Okay. Now, the first thing you can do is, and I am channeling this if you're new here. So I'm channeling this 60% spirit guides, 40% Susan. And I would say the first thing and the easiest thing you can do is the animal kingdom, okay? Because even if you're inside all the time, they come through with messages. Now, when I say the animal kingdom, what I mean is if you're in your house and you never see a spider and you see a spider, I would kind of pay attention to that. If I saw a spider again in one day, I would pay more attention. And if I saw a spider again within 24 hours, I would say that's a sign. For me personally, because I'm kind of skeptical about things, I want three. I want it three repeated three times. Let's put it that way. So if I get a message, I want to get it one, two, and three. And it could be different ways, but generally speaking, generally speaking, especially when you're beginning this process, look for more data. Look for repeating signs. Okay, so spider energy is very interesting. So if you see a spider and you think, well, Susan, spiders are in the house. Well, if you see them all the time, then that's probably not a sign for you. But if you're like, oh, a spider, well, that's something different, isn't it? And that's probably a sign. So then I would just open my phone or my laptop and I would look up spider totem energy or spider spiritual energy. And then if you really want to do this, if you really want to make this count, get out a notebook or get your phone out and open a notes or some kind of place where you can take notes or your laptop and write down the date I saw a spider. This is the passage that, copy and paste right out of Wikipedia or wherever you're at. Copy it and paste it right into your notes. This is what it says. I wonder if this is about this, or I wonder if this is about that, or I don't know what this is about, question mark. And just let it be. Because this is like the first dot in a picture that's going to be made of a lot of dots. And if you write it down, all the dots are there for you to connect. If you don't write it down, spirit, you will not remember because your brain says, this is this got nothing to do with paying the rent or the mortgage. This has got nothing to do with me. And you won't remember, even though at the time it seemed really intriguing. Like, I'm going to remember this. You won't. Believe me when I say you won't, because even though it's super intriguing, guidance comes out of left field. And therefore your brain is like, that doesn't apply to me. But actually anything that comes outside of your normal thinking or your normal considerations or out of left field or the aha moment, that is incredibly important. This is spirit throwing you some extra information. Of course, it doesn't fit in your life because it's extra, it's from spirit. But your brain is going to say, nope, don't need to remember. Please write it down. You'll be very glad you did. So start with the animal kingdom. Let's say, oh, well, Susan, I never leave my house. Pay attention. Just pay attention to the things that happen on your screen. Did you see a video about an animal or a bird or an insect? And then secondly, did you feel some kind of way? Like, did you see a picture or a video about a hippo and it just stayed with you? That would be an indication that that is a sign. Things that stay with you means that spirit is trying to put a sticky note on your brain to say, don't forget this. And that means it's extra important. So if you don't see three hippos and you just see one hippo, but it stays with you for a long time, that's the same kind of energy as seeing it three times. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? I would then go to my book and say, I saw a hippo and I don't know, and I looked it up and this is interesting, right? It's not about necessarily getting the code to unlock the key or the lock to this problem. That's what I think another fallacy we have. Once I start talking to spirit, I'm going to have the answers to all my problems. Not really. Actually, you have more questions. but but at least the questions direct you on the right path. So if you're getting guidance and you have questions, that's great, because even if your question is, I don't get it, that's great, because it means that you're at least on the right path. If you're not getting any guidance and it's crickets and nothing's happening, you're probably not on the right path. Or if you're getting nothing and it's crickets, but you're pretty happy, you're feeling okay, you're feeling pretty hopeful about things, then you are on the right path and there's nothing they need to tell you at that time. Do you understand? So if you're getting no guidance, it could mean you're on the wrong path, especially if you're not happy, or you're just feeling alone, or you're feeling like nobody's helping me or nobody understands me. That's a really good time to start asking for guidance and start writing it down. So start with the animal kingdom. Now, of course, you could use oracle cards. I use them for myself too, because when it comes to me reading myself and you reading yourself, it is difficult because we have a brain and our brain says, no, Susan, that can't be right. Or that is crazy. You're not going to go do this. That's out of your league, Susan, right? But if somebody else is reading for you, they don't care. They don't know you. They're like, you need to go do this thing. And you say to them, that's out of my league. And they say, no, says here you're going to be very successful at it. You can get the message, right? But if you're reading for yourself, it's difficult because your own conditioning, your own thinking, your own fears, your own limiting beliefs all become a wall that spirit has to get through to give you that guidance. Remember, they use the example of the maze. They're trying to get around your limiting beliefs and your cultural whatever limitations or ideas, or your low self-esteem, or whatever it is. So they're going to try to just drop things in that are very succinct, and they can just hopefully get one little breadcrumb to drop through all of those trap doors. Okay. So pay attention to the signs. We started out with the animal kingdom. We talked about oracle cards, very easy to use. You can simply buy any oracle cards. It really is personal. You may have to try a few decks out. They're $25 each. It's not cheap, but there's no way to really find what works for you until you try some out. You can, oh, that's true. That's true. Go online and search for free oracle card reading, I think it is. And there's actually a few companies that allow you to use their cards online for free. And they're really good oracle cards, and you can really get a sense for them, and you can do it for free. And they're really good, actually. The guides just dropped that in. So yes, that's one way to do it, right? To get these readings for you. Now, also signs and symbols. Let's talk just briefly, because this is fascinating. Oh God, am I going to do it? Okay, hold on. Okay, I have a video about this. You'll recognize what I'm about to show you. But I started finding balls. Okay, look, I just started finding balls. I honestly was finding them for a year before I realized it was a symbol and a sign from the other side. I didn't know. I didn't put it together, you guys. And I'm a medium, I'm psychic, but I was like, what is this ball doing here? Right? So this is why I'm trying to open your brain to how the symbols and signs can be very unique and different. And here's one that I found just recently. It's just a marble, but I found this outside, and I've found so many of these balls. As a matter of fact, this is how many I found. And again, I have a video about this, but it's a lot of balls, okay? And I found them in important times in my life. Like I might go 6 weeks or 2 months without finding a ball. and then I'll find one. Right. And so the important thing to do is to write down, okay, I found a ball on this date at this time. What was you, where were you happy? Were you sad? Were you okay? Just keywords. You can journal if you want. The journaling is great, actually. It's wonderful. But if you don't have time or you're not a journaler, write down some keywords. And sometimes I swear to God, you can just put question mark, like, I don't know what this is about. But the other embarrassing thing I have to admit is I thought these were coming from my spirit guides, because I found, like, for instance, I was going to buy this house. I was looking at it. I was thinking about buying it, and I found a ball in the yard. It was like the first time I started going, wait a minute. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute. This is starting to make sense. I was connecting the dots, right? So I'm embarrassed to admit that I didn't realize these were coming from my dad in spirit. My dad was a practical joker. He was a funny guy. He, despite having a lot of hardship in his life, really a lot of hardship, he made the best out of his life, and the simplest things. He made really the best with the simplest things, I would say. Okay, and me as a kid, I was always a kid who was like throwing a ball with my neighbor, playing tennis in the driveway. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really sporty, but I like sports. I don't know how to describe it, but so I would just sit here be doing this, right? So I finally figured out these are hellos from my dad. So signs can be anything. Okay. Like, we all talk about repeating numbers, right? Like, you see 111 or 222 or 444 or 555. Look up the meaning. Look up the meaning of those things. Pay attention. Because if you just see 111, well, now I know it's a sign they use for me. So I pay attention, right? But if you see 111 three times in 2 days, again, that's like spirit really saying, hey, we got your back. We're surrounding you with love. You got this. So that's important. It's important to write these things down. Another symbol that just started happening, and I did not catch on. I literally did not catch on for at least 6 months. I am not the kind of person who has hearts, places. I just not me. That's not my thing. So it wasn't something that stood out to me as a sign. And now I get them. Like, actually, just in the last 2 days, I've seen two different hearts, in bizarre ways. Like, you could even see them online, like in a video, or you could see them on a car, or I've seen him in concrete, I've seen him in paint, I've seen him in wood, I've found rocks shaped like hearts. um, these are symbols and signs from your spirit guide team, like, hey, we love you, you got this, you're not alone, you're not alone, you have a spirit guide, you have a spirit guide team, and they are taking care of you. Okay, to make a sign or a symbol book. Now, was common with mediums, because mediums talk to the dead, right? They talk to spirit. And again, it's kind of hard to get the messages. It's not like I'm talking to you right now. It's kind of garbled, or it's just like you get an impression about something, or they show you a picture of something, because communicating across the veil is not easy. So they really want to have shortcuts or be very efficient. So mediums, a lot of mediums, used to make symbol dictionaries or sign dictionaries. And they would say to spirit, okay, when I get a birthday cake, I want that to be a birthday. Okay. But when I get a pink birthday cake, it's for a girl, and a boy is blue. And when I get a birthday cake that's really big, it's an anniversary cake. Right. So you see, like, if you're visual, or if you just have a knowing, okay, I'm seeing like a big birthday cake, then you might go, well, that's an anniversary of over 50 years. Okay, so you see what I'm saying here? You might see, and you come up with your own symbols. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You can use other people's symbols. You could probably Google symbols for mediumship, but some of them probably won't work for you because it's just not your vibe. It's not your thing. Like my friend who knew where the sun was in the spring. And I was like, wow, if I had to know that, I wouldn't be talking to these people. You know what I mean? Because that's not something I know. So find the things that work for you, right? Like if you see sneakers, if you see tennis shoes, what does that mean to you? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? I bet you it's different for you than it is for me, than it is for somebody else watching this video. I bet you it's different. You'd be surprised. And that's okay. So what you want to do is figure out, what does it mean to me? Right. And so you might want to assign certain things to timelines or to calendar timelines. Like for me, I grew up with tulips popping up around my house. So I might associate spring with tulips, but you might associate spring with cherry blossoms, or you might associate spring with some other thing that's important to you, maybe a certain bird that visits your bird feeder. Once you decide, this is my symbol for this, you write it down. You write it down in your little notes, and then you start communicating to spirit. I want to work with you, and I would like for you to try to work with me using these symbols. And then watch what happens. Just watch what happens. Also, they're showing me colors, associate color with something, right? So if you want to say to spirit, hey, give me a heads up when I'm going to have a good day, show me yellow. Give me a heads up when I need to watch what I say, when I need to watch my temper, show me red. Give me a heads up when I need to be chill and take better care of myself, show me green. But you pick the colors. Okay. Now, another way that they do this for me, because I'm clairaudient, which means that I have psychic hearing, which is not anything that matters in any way, shape, or form, except for that I'll tell you, if you're a person who, like, I'm not big into music. That's the funny thing about it, right? Like, I have psychic hearing, but I'm not big into music actually at all. But when I do listen to it, they kind of log songs to play back to me. So there's a song that has this saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And it's like a female singing it, and I don't think it's very popular. It might be like some other kind of like alternative music or something. I don't know. But you know what? My guides will sing it to me when I need to check in with myself and take a break. And you know what? It's not very often, which means this is not a normal break. This is a big break, right? Like, so if they play you that song all the time, then you're like, oh, okay, it's time for me to take a little break. But if they play you a song that you don't hear but every couple of months, then you understand this is a big deal. Like, this is like, Susan, you need to really take like a week off. Like, you need to take a vacation, right? And how that works for me is I hear it in my head. And sometimes I'm singing it to myself. And that's when I become aware that I'm hearing it in my head. Like, I wasn't even aware I was hearing it in my head till I started singing the song to myself. And then I stopped and I was like, uh-oh, because now I know, right? How do I know? Because it took them several many times, like the balls and the hearts. It took them several many times to get my attention to play it in my brain around times when I was stressed out or whatever was happening, or maybe I was too busy, I was working too much. And finally, after 3 or 4 times, I was like, oh, I get it. That's what this means. So what I'm trying to help you with today is, if you write this stuff down and you pay attention to it, you're going to be on the fast track to getting guidance from your spirit guides. And you're going to be on the fast track to being closer to your soul's destiny, closer on your soul's super highway, is what they want to say, right? You came here for a purpose. You came here to achieve some different things. And it's not what you think it is. Because if you knew what your soul contract was, if you knew what your soul destiny was, You would just do it. And then why be here? Right? What's the point? The point is to learn. The point is to find your, it's like a game, right? To find your soul's destiny. And then it is like to kind of ride it, like surf it. You might be on your soul's destiny and then fall off and then have to climb over to the paddle board or the surfboard and climb back on. And it's hard, right? It's hard work. You're floating, you're trying to get on top of this thing, right? This is not kindergarten. Earth is not kindergarten. Earth is an expert planet. So, but the more you communicate to them, the faster you'll understand what your soul's destiny is. And when you get knocked off that surfboard because you understand what's going on, you can take a break. You can be like, whew, that was great. I rode that wave. I did these things. God, it was so amazing. But now I've fallen off. I'm just going to take a little break. Whereas if you didn't understand where you're going, then you're going to be freaking out. Like, I need to get back. I need to get that job back. I need to get that person back. When in reality, this is where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to not be in that job or with that person. You're supposed to be taking a break. You did the thing. You did the thing that you were supposed to do. Once you complete the soul contract with, I'll say a person, but it's really more like the lesson, then there's three things that can happen. Is it three or four? One is you come to the realization that, oh, I've learned this lesson of self-worth or whatever it is, the lesson is. And now that I learn it, I see that this person isn't respecting me, whether it's a boss, a company, a lover, a spouse, a pet, a kid, doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't. Once you realize, okay, this isn't going to fly, I learned the lesson. Now some other things can happen. The other thing, the other entity, the other energy can learn the lesson. And then you can decide to go on together as friends or spouses or whatever. Or the other person can say, I'm not going to learn the lesson. I'm not ready to learn the lesson. And then you separate because you can't be in alignment with them anymore because you're vibrating here and they're vibrating here, which is lower. You're not vibrating on the same scale anymore. Before you were vibrating on the same scale and the scale was effed up. The scale was not good, right? Unhappiness. But you learned your lesson. Now either they can come up to you and learn their lesson, and then you can both decide, yes, we still want to stay together, or no, we don't want to stay together, or you can split apart. So you can understand how that your soul destiny was maybe to be with that person, maybe was to be with that pet for a certain period of time. I mean, really and truly, right? Sometimes we realize that this pet, this horse, isn't for us. Like, we're not compatible. And then we find a new loving home for them that is compatible, right? Or we decide that this job is not compatible and I've done my self-work and I'm raised my vibration and I know that I'm worth more than this, and I'm going to separate myself from that job. So that's where you are when you fall off the surfboard and you're in the water, and you're like, if you don't know that, if you're not aware that it's time for me to change direction, to get off the surfboard and get on a bike, if you don't know that, you're going to try to get back on the surfboard when in reality, that might not be where you're going. And talking to your spirit guides and increasing your guidance is going to help you know that. You're going to start knowing, I have a feeling this isn't the right job for me. And, you could sit with that for a while. You could sit with that for 6 months or a year, whatever, 3 days, who knows? And then you can say, okay, all right, spirit, I'm starting, it's sort of like you have to get used to it, right? Like getting used to cold water. When you step into a lake, you're like, whoa, okay, I got to get used to this. But once you're used to it, then you can say, okay, send me guidance. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. And you might get the guidance to just wait. And that might come through as no guidance. Or if you're pulling oracle cards or tarot cards, you'll get the message, wait. For me, I had to wait, like, God have mercy, literally had to wait 2.5 years. And I don't know why. Well, that's a big, long story. Anyway, I could have made a different decision, right? I could have said, no, I'm not waiting 2.5 years. I'm going to go do this because I think, human, that this is going to be good for me. And that would have been fine. My spirit guides have been like, okay, she's chosen a new side quest. Let's see what she can learn now, right? They're happy for you to learn these things. This is all about soul development, developing your soul. So I knew, because I've done all this work and I try really hard as best as I can to listen to the messages. I knew that if I went off on this side quest, that I was going to like add a lot of miles to my soul, like when you're driving and you drive way out of your way, or you're flying and you fly to some city, like literally way the opposite direction, just to turn around and fly back the other direction. And you're like, why am I doing this? Bingo. So your guidance might be wait. And when the time is right, you'll feel the energy pick up. You'll get the messages. You'll get the guidance. You'll feel things starting to move rapidly. And then you know it's time to go. Okay. So hopefully this helps you understand, right? Like how you can get guidance, how you can keep track of it, how you can start working with your spirit guides, your guardian angels, even your ancestors. My dad is sending me these balls, right? Everybody's over there trying to help you, but you can help them by tuning into them, by allowing them to send you messages, creating some space for them to send you some messages, by basically not overthinking or over worrying, or creating times when you're not doing that, right? Like, so I'm just going to get this crossword puzzle out. I'm going to do Sudoku. I'm going to walk. I'm going to walk my dog. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to paint. I'm going to read a book. I'm going to read a fiction book. I'm going to read just an escapee kind of book. I'm just going to check out. I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to go gardening. I'm going to join a group to just have fun and hang out. That is disengaging your brain enough that you can now start getting some messages dropped in to your consciousness. That's also why a lot of times they will drop them in when you're dreaming, because they're like, oh, the only time she's available is when she's asleep. So we're going to drop in this message while she's asleep. And when you wake up with that message, again, please write it down, because don't you always say, gosh, I want to remember this. Let me remember this. And then you fall back asleep and you don't remember it, right? So just go to your phone, go to a notepad and write down whatever it was. Don't expect it to make sense. It's one dot. It's just one data point or one dot. All the other dots are going to help you make sense of it. And if you'll do this and you look back at your notebook, I promise you it will blow your mind how much sense it actually makes. I've done it. I've had my own mind blown. It's like, wow, this is really happening right now. It's really wild. Be sure to check out my class, Reawaken Your Soul's Destiny, $37 at SusanLynnMedium.com. We actually have 2 more classes that are building on that class. If you take the first class, Reawaken Your Soul's Destiny, there's 2 more classes that are happening in April and in May. And you'll get $5 off of each of those classes. But you have to take the first class first. And it's not that it's required or that you're going to miss out on something. It's just we want to reward you for taking the first class, right? So all these classes are standalone classes. You can watch them as their own, class, and you will get something out of it that would be really important. and I think life-changing. Also, don't forget about my online community and take really, really good care of yourself. Please check out the playlist. It should be popping up here somewhere. You just click that link and you can go look at over 110 videos that can help you raise your vibration, help you understand your soul contract, help you understand why you're here. Why did I reincarnate? Do I have to reincarnate here? What do I want to know about ghosts or UFOs or aliens or crop circles or even Yeti, Sasquatch? Yes, I've done videos on all of those things. So check them out. It's a great way to also create space to connect with your spirit guides, because when you're interested in this topic, you're opening your mind to that energy. And when you open your mind to that energy, you're opening your mind to guidance. Okay. Take really, really good care of yourself. I'll see you again soon.